everybody. I'm David Bloom. I'm here with Deadline's special feature edition of the festival wrap-up. We have Pete Hammond, our awards editor, in from Toronto and Telluride, and we have Nancy Tartaglione, our international editor, who is over here in Los Angeles this week as part of the big awards season kickoff that Deadline is doing. Nancy, let's start with Venice. It was a documentary about a road that goes around Rome, won the Golden Lion. But what else was big there? Philomena, I guess, with Judi Dench, Stephen Frears' new film, got a lot of attention.
Absolutely. It has everything. I think you saw it as well in Toronto.
I saw it in Toronto. Again, it just knocked the audiences out. It's so good. It's going to definitely be an Oscar contender because
for Judi Dench and Stephen
Judi Dench, Steve Coogan, who co-wrote it, co-produced it, and co-stars in it. Very revelatory performance by him. I've never seen him this likable in a movie.
No, he's thoroughly. It really is a big breakout like that. And then they won. Of course, they won the screenplay prize in Venice.
And this year you had Gravity, which was out of competition,
Out of competition to open the fest,
yeah, so that couldn't have won in Venice, but that's going to be huge, I think. How did that play in Venice?
That played incredibly also. The room loved it, and everybody lamented that it wasn't in competition.
Very interesting. Now, Pete, you were in Telluride, the smallest of these big three festivals. It has a lot of big films there, but they get really kind of cute about the way they handled them. They had a bunch of first screenings, but they weren't premieres.
Sneak previews. That was what they called prisoners, a sneak preview. Yes, a sneak preview world premiere, folks. The one that really set the place on fire in terms of the media was 12 Years a Slave.
The 12 Years a Slave picked up the Audience Award, which has been a very important award in the last few years about Oscar harbinger again. Now, tell me about this.
I was surprised that it won the Audience Award because it's a very tough movie to take. I mean, it's not, your friendly audience movie. Philomena is the kind of movie I thought might have won the Audience Prize, and that came in second.
So, Nancy, you also wrote while you were still after Venice about the London Film Festival coming up, and that's a big film festival, but it's not quite as influential as these big three. What's the deal with London?
Kind of big thing this year is that it's bookended by two Tom Hanks movies. So it's opening with Captain Phillips and then closing with the world premiere of Saving Mr. Banks, the movie about Mary Poppins.
We don't get that movie for a month. It's going to open the AFI Fest here in November. So London really, it's a big coup for them.
It is a coup for them. Okay. And, and like I say, they have a lot of movies. They also have a lot of interesting panels. They get a lot of talent to come.
Now, speaking of film festivals that come up, a bunch of notable films, as you and I have chatted in the past, bypass Toronto and all the other ones to go to New York.
They are opening with Captain Phillips, although the producer of Captain Phillips is Scott Rudin, and he just couldn't let Toronto steal his thunder and all those other movies get attention. So he called every journalist and critic and offered about 14 screenings of Captain Phillips. And the other movie they have is Spike Jonze's Her, from Warner Brothers, which they previewed at the Toronto Film Festival with a clip show. That's one that's getting really good advance buzz. We should mention that Toronto did have these genuine world premieres of August Osage County and Mandela and The Fifth Estate and Enough Said and Rush, fantastic movie.
You mentioned Cannes, and one of the things that's most interesting is the winner of that, Blue is the Warmest Color. Nancy, you just had a story in Deadline talking about the fact that not only is it not eligible, but the reasons why the distributor is holding on so tight to the days that they're debuting the film.
This film, Blue is the Warmest Color, is not scheduled to release until October 9th.
So
and
10 days later.
They could have moved it back. They could have, said, oh, well, let's, go and do a qualifying run. But very staunchly, Wild Bunch, the distributor on the film, did not want to do that. They just categorically would not budge off of their date. And one of the co-founders of the company just said to me earlier today, we have the Palme d'Or already. We don't need, who cares about the foreign language Oscar? And nobody cares about it. And we're going out in all the other categories.
You could avoid this problem in France if you just had a wild card choice, maybe 3 choices that aren't selected by the countries that are really the best of the year, according to world cinema. Certainly Blue is the Warmest Color would be one. Certainly Like Father, Like Son, the 3rd place winner in Cannes. The Japanese film, which I think could have won the Oscar, is not eligible because this small group in Japan picked this obscure movie to enter, and a lot of politics enter into this stuff. So we're not necessarily seeing the best foreign language pictures in the best foreign language race.
Well, thank you, Pete. Thank you, Nancy. This has been a special awards festival watch from Deadline with Pete Hammond, our awards columnist, and Nancy Tartaglione, our international editor. You can follow Pete on Twitter @DeadlinePete and Nancy on Twitter @DeadlineNancy. I'm your host, David Bloom. Follow all our awards coverage on Deadline.com.